Welcome back to the CharCole podcast for episode 14. I'm Cole Larsch, joined by Charlie Pranger, and special guest this week we have Hunter Pranger. So thank you for coming along.
I'm glad to be here.
Right away, we're going to get into the Week 9 results. Right away, Dawson, he is tied for 4th. He was 7-5 last week. He took Nebraska, which was -2 over Indiana. Indiana took that game by quite a bit, I believe. And his upset was TCU over number 18 Texas, and that ended up being correct.
Cole Larsch is tied for first place. He was at 8-4 last week. His lock for this week was Utah over California, and that won. And his upset was Notre Dame over Michigan, which was not right.
Charlie was tied for first going into the last week at 8-4. His lock was Minnesota over Maryland. Minnesota won that game. And his upset was Notre Dame over Michigan, and that lost.
Mr. Denning, he took number 17 Minnesota, which is also 16.5 over Maryland. And he also took number 8 Notre Dame, which was +1 over number 19 Michigan for his upset, and that was incorrect.
Mr. Schaefer took Appalachian State over South Alabama, and that won. And then he had Central Michigan over Buffalo, which was incorrect.
Mr. Hetland was last going into the week at 6-6. He chose Minnesota over Maryland as his lock, and his upset he chose Michigan State over number 6 Penn State, and Penn State took that game.
Coach K, which was also tied for first, he took Nebraska over Indiana, and Indiana also took that game, as we talked about in Dawson's thing also. And he also took TCU over number 18 Texas, and he was correct there.
Now for this week's picks. Dawson picked number 19 Michigan over Maryland, and his upset is Waldorf over Clemson.
Yeah, I picked those for him.
Yeah.
By the way. Or I picked his upset because he didn't pick his upset, and that's the kind of upset he gets.
Cole, you're up.
Yeah. I am tied for first going into the week at 9-5. I chose Auburn over Ole Miss as my lock, and I chose TCU over Oklahoma State as my upset.
This week, I took number 19 Michigan over Maryland. After seeing what Michigan did last week, it should be fun to see what they do this week. And I also took TCU over Oklahoma State just because what TCU did last week.
And Mr. Denning is tied for 4th coming into this week, and his lock this week is Illinois over Rutgers. And his upset is Purdue over Nebraska.
Mr. Schaefer comes into the week tied for 4th. He chose Auburn over Ole Miss as his lock, and his upset he chose Central Michigan over Northern Illinois.
Mr. Hetland, which is 7-7 in the last place still, he took number 11 Auburn over Ole Miss for his lock, and his upset was Washington over Utah.
Mr. Christensen is tied for first coming into this week, and his lock this week is number 21 Boise State over San Jose State. And his upset is number 7 Florida over number 10 Georgia.
And our guest picker this week, Hunter Pranger, his lock is Navy over UConn, and his upset is Army over Air Force. So that about wraps that up, and we're going to get into everybody's favorite subject here, the Wheel Decide topics. As if you don't know, we spin a wheel. It decides a topic for us, and we talk about that topic. So
14 topics today should be kind of fun, especially with our guests, and something new to bring to the table. Ooh, yes. First topic.
Right off the bat, topic number 1.
Madden 20. Is Hunter Pranger the consensus top Madden player in the state of South Dakota? According to my sources and to other people, it's hard to beat this guy.
It is very difficult to beat this guy.
So let us in on your secret. What makes you so good?
I just find a defense that really works for me, and then I pretty much just suffocate him with blitzes and man coverage. And then I run one really good play that's hard for everybody to stop on offense. So I pretty much just handle everybody.
Nice.
Good way to win there. Blitz and run the same play over and over again. I mean, if that doesn't work, I don't know what will.
It tends to work for the good ones, I guess.
All right, we have topic number 12.
We'll go to 9A here. We're going to go through our picks. Everyone's going to go through their picks. It'll be this for almost every class. I think we did every class, so we'll go through every class, and we're going to start with 9A. Our first game is the number 1 versus number 8, Britton Heckla versus Burke. Who do you have here, Larsch?
I think I got Britton Heckla taking this one away. I think Burke's going to put up a little bit of a fight, but I just don't see how they can go up against their offense. So,
what do you think, Hunter?
I think Burke is going to pull off an upset of 8-1. Britton Heckla is a up north team, and you're always spectacle about the up north teams. But these guys are pretty good. I mean, they won the Dome. They won it last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to be a tough team to beat. But I think Burke's going to pull this one off.
I think I agree there because Britton Heckla, obviously, if you haven't heard, their quarterback has had quite a bit of a uprising in the state of South Dakota. You've talked about his almost, it was a donation thing where people would give money, and he got hit in the head on a diving touchdown play, and he's been knocked out since, I believe. So it's kind of unfortunate events there. But Britton Heckla has kind of been lackluster in the last couple of weeks just because of that, and I think they're a little shocked by it. But Burke is playing some good football. They have some big kids, and if they want to do it, this is the year for them.
So, split decision there.
Yep.
Next one, Gregory Howard, 4-5. Who you got?
I got Howard in this one, I think. Gregory played pretty well against Kimball White Lake last week, or 2 weeks ago, I believe. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And I think that Howard takes this one just because Gregory doesn't have the firepower.
I think Gregory's going to run away with this one because Howard, they beat DeSmit. They 50'd them during the season, and they didn't really show a great performance last week, as they still handled them really well, 35-0. But I think Gregory's going to win this one.
I'm really torn on this one because both teams, they could honestly go away with this one, but I'm going to have to go with Hunter just on the basis of how they played in the playoffs. Usually you're supposed to play better in the playoffs because you're a better team, but in this case they just didn't, or maybe DeSmit was just that much better of a team, but I think Gregory's going to pull this one away.
Sully Buttes Warner, the 2-7. I think that Sully Buttes is going to really take this one because the Jet Lamb kid from Sully Buttes is just an absolute animal. He's going to wreck things, and Sully Buttes is going to take this one by a lot.
I agree with you, Charlie. Sully Buttes is a really good team. I watched them last year in the 9B championship game. They lost in overtime, but they're a really good team that moved up a class, and I think they're going to win this one.
I'm going to have to go with both of you, so unanimous decision on Sully Buttes. They're just too good of a team to be beat. So, next game, Canastota Freeman against Wall, the 3 and the 6 team going at it. Thoughts?
I think it's going to be interesting to see how this one turns out because it's hard to go into Canastota Freeman because when we were younger, it was really hard to go into Canastota Freeman and get a win. So I think Canastota Freeman beats Wall by quite a bit because Wall hasn't played the opponents that Canastota has played throughout the year.
I agree. I think Canastota Freeman's going to run away with this one. I don't think Wall has really much of a shot.
Yep, I'm going to have to agree with that one. So, with that, we have unanimous decisions on 2 out of the 4 games, which honestly isn't that bad. But we're just going to go first round here.
Yeah, we'll just going to through that.
That's perfect. All right, next one.
Okay.
We have
Looks to be 9.
oh,
10.
number 10.
Okay.
11 AAA.
Who
wins the deal?
The AAA is kind of a different thing this year because
Different.
everyone came in thinking that Brandon Valley's going to run the show. Well, here comes Lincoln, here comes Roosevelt, so it's going to be interesting.
All right, so
Yeah.
first game, number 1 Sioux Falls Roosevelt against number 8 Washington.
Or Watertown.
Watertown.
Yeah.
God, not Washington. Yeah, okay. Watertown. Perfect.
Roosevelt takes this one by a lot. Watertown hasn't had a great season at all.
I agree. This one isn't even going to be close.
No, it's not going to be close. So
The next one, Sioux Falls O'Gorman versus Harrisburg. This is going to be an interesting game. Both these teams are pretty well-rounded. I think O'Gorman's probably going to win the thing. This is going to be tough for Harrisburg to try to go through this AAA playoffs as it's their first year in the class. I think O'Gorman takes this one.
I agree. I think O'Gorman's it's going to be a close game against Harrisburg, but I think O'Gorman's going to pull this one off. And during the season, no team in 11 AAA is undefeated. Every single one has got beat, and O'Gorman is the only one who beat Sioux Falls Roosevelt. So I think if O'Gorman wins this, it's going to be a really good semifinal matchup against Sioux Falls Roosevelt and O'Gorman.
I'm liking the way you guys are thinking, but I'm going to have to stick with Harrisburg because I had them as an underdog this year, just based on how their team is progressing and moving up a class. And I had them as an underdog this year. I think they're going to squeak this one out, but it's going to be really close and down to the wire. So.
Yeah. So number 2, Sioux Falls Lincoln versus number 7, Sioux Falls Washington. This is the first time Sioux Falls Washington has been this low in the AAA playoffs in, I want to say, 4 or 5 years. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do against Lincoln, as Lincoln is really a powerhouse now in AAA. But I got Lincoln by quite a bit in this one.
I also have Sioux Falls Lincoln. I think they've just had a really good season, and they've upset a couple teams, and I think they're going to pull this one off again.
Yep, I think unanimous decision. I can't say that word today. On Lincoln over Washington, so I think it shouldn't be close.
So the next one we got number 3 Brandon Valley and number 6 Rapid City Stevens. That's going to be a trip for Stevens, and I don't think they're going to be able to pull off against Brandon Valley. Their rushing attack is just too good, and they're a pretty well-rounded team also. So AAA is going to be fun to watch as this one goes.
Yeah, I don't think Rapid City Stevens has much of a shot against Brandon Valley. They're a really, really good team this year.
All I have to say for Stevens is going to be a long trip home after they get blown out by Brandon Valley. So that's all I got to say to that one. I don't think that one should be very close.
Not at all. It's going to be 6.
Number 6.
We've got 11B football. If you could pick one upset in this week's bracket in 11B, who do you have? So I'll go down to the games here quick. We got Bridgewater Emory Ethan versus Sioux Valley, Mowbridge Pollock versus McCook Central Montrose, Winter versus St. Thomas More, and Webster area versus Mount Vernon Blankington.
I think there's going to be 2 upsets, although the 4-5 is kind of an upset, but I think McCook Central Montrose is going to beat Mowbridge Pollock, and that's the 5 over the 4. And I think Mount Vernon Blankington is going to win a very close game against Webster this week.
I also agree. I don't think Mowbridge Pollock has played the teams that McCook Central has. McCook Central brings something to the table that most teams haven't seen. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do there. And I also agree with Hunter on the Webster versus Mount Vernon Blankington game, as Mount Vernon Blankington takes this one.
I'm going to have to agree with you. The 5-4, you really can't consider it that much of an upset, but it is still an upset technically. So MCM over Mowbridge Pollock and then MVP over Webster would be the 2 upsets. And don't sleep on Sioux Valley this round. They might not be coming in a very high seed, but there still could be a flying chance that they beat Bridgewater Emory. And St. Thomas More could beat Winter, although that is a lot less likely, but anything can happen at this point.
Argus Leader posted something this morning recapping what they think are going to be this week's winners, and they have us beating Webster, so that's going to be kind of cool if that can happen.
All right, due to some technical difficulties, we're going to just restart with 11 AA.
Yeah,
Pierre's going to run through it.
Yeah, there's no chance. Nobody has any shot against Pierre. Pierre's killed everybody this year. So
it's not even going to be a game for anybody. Might as well just not even show up.
We got 11A.
11A is kind of weird this year. Now, no one really expected Del Rapids to be in the mix, and they're at the number 1 seed, so it's going to be interesting to see what they can do, as they have to walk through Madison, which they've been to the state championships before, so I think that'll be interesting as it goes. But Del Rapids beats West Central, in my opinion. What do you got, Hunter?
Yeah, Del Rapids wins against West Central, and I think Del Rapids is going to get to the championship. They are undefeated this season, and yeah, I think they're going to meet up with T. Those 2 had a really good game at the end of the season. Del Rapids won 22-21. I think if both those teams make it to the championship, it'll be a really, really good game.
That'll be a good game to watch. I also have to agree with him. Del Rapids versus T in the championship, unless something really weird happens, but it's going to be a good game up in the Dyke House.
Yeah. Getting lower and lower here on the wheel. See, it's going to be 11.
9 AA.
9 AA. Okay, let's see. Okay, for our first one, we got Viborg Hurley and Platte Geddes. I will say something. Viborg Hurley is a really great team, but I really hope Platte Geddes wins this. That'd be awesome, because it's just something of the culture down there. They haven't been to a second-round playoffs in a really long time, so I hope for the best for them.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully Platte can pull this upset off, but I don't see it happening. I see Viborg Hurley winning this one. I think it might be close for a while, but I think Viborg Hurley is going to pull away at the end.
Yep, I'm going to have to agree with him. I really hope Platte wins, but I don't foresee it happening unless something crazy happens, but because you never know. But
Hamlin and Lemon McIntosh for our 4-5. I think Hamlin takes this because they've also had kind of a culture where they've brought teams to the championships and playoffs before, so they're going to make a run at this thing. I think Hamlin takes this one.
Yeah, I think Hamlin takes this one too. And Lemon McIntosh had a really weird first-round game, as they won 80-6 against Rapid City Christian.
Jeez.
Not really sure how that works because in 9AA there's a 50-point rule, so they really beat those guys pretty bad. But
yeah.
I feel like Hamlin is going to beat Lemon McIntosh.
Yeah, I got Hamlin winning this game too.
The next one we got is number 2 Bonhomme versus number 7 Jones County White River. I got Bon home in this one. I think they've had also a pretty great run over the years. I think Bon home takes this one by quite a bit.
I agree. I think Bonhome's going to run away with this one. I don't think they have... Bonhome's a really well-rounded team, and I think there's not really much of a shot against them.
Yep, yeah, Bonhome winning this one.
Number 3, Dual versus number 6, Baltic. I think Dual is probably going to take this one, but you never know because these 3-6s could always be like ours. We never know. You never know. I mean, I haven't looked into these teams enough, but I think Dual takes this one.
I agree. I think Dual wins over Baltic. Baltic's a really good team, but I think Dual takes this one.
Yep, I also have Dual taking this game as well.
Awesome.
Unanimous across the board. First time that happened, except for 11 double it appeared.
Yeah.
Top 3.
NBA. If the playoffs started today, would you include the Warriors in the top 8? Okay, before I get into this, I would like to say this was made before we figured out that Curry broke his hand. So I think it's going to be... I don't think so. I think they're going to tank.
Yeah, I don't think there's a shot. They were a really good team last year, but they lost a lot of people. Klay Thompson isn't playing this year. Steph Curry just broke his hand, and they lost Kevin Durant to the Nets. I don't think they have a shot to get inside the top 8.
I personally didn't have them at the top 8 going into the season before Curry broke his hand, but now they actually broke his hand. I mean, I don't think they're going to get close. I mean, they started off 1-3 now with a blowout loss to the Suns. I mean, I don't foresee it happening in the top 8 at all. So, wheel keeps getting smaller.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Number 2, Nats winning 7. What are your thoughts? Hunter, you can start here.
Personally, I thought the Nats were going to run out of gas, and then they won the first 2 games, and I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong. But then the Astros pulled off 3 straight, and the Nats came right back and won 2 games and won the series in 7. And I saw a stat today that this is the first time in about 1,500 series, or Game 7 series, that the road team has won all 4 games. So that's pretty impressive that the Nats won all 4 of their road games. And the Nats just had a really great season. And that Cinderella story in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was definitely a Cinderella story. But, yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I had the Nats in 5 originally because I thought they were just going to keep going. But then they won the first 2 games, then lost 2, and then lost 3. I was like, oh, no. But then the series tied 3-3. I'm like, okay, where's it being played? Houston? I got the Nats.
I think it's kind of funny, too. I also seen a stat that they are the oldest team on average in the MLB. That is not, it's really not, you don't see that very often.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy as them old guys are out there doing stuff. So they've been there and they've seen stuff, and that's what kind of carried them, I think, to that win.
Yeah, it was a really good series. I liked watching it.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Bunch of good pitchers going at it and good hitters. And Class 9B, who wins the thing?
9B's kind of different. It's different than last year. So Coleman Egan kind of, no one really seen them. Obviously, they came in as a top 5 team, but now they're number 1. And I think Coleman Egan takes this whole thing too. But I think Coleman Egan wins this first one. What do you think, Hunter?
I agree. Coleman Egan beat Del Rapids St. Mary in the season, and it was a good game, but I think Coleman Egan runs away with this one.
I think this first round game is not even going to be close here.
We got Wolsey Washington versus Scotland. Who do you got here?
I have Wolsey Washington winning this one. I think it'll probably be a close game, but I think Wolsey Washington wins by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yep, I'm going to have to go with that. A couple touchdowns for Wolsey Washington there.
The next one we got Harding County in Kadoka area. I got Harding County by quite a bit on this one.
I'm going to try and pick an upset here. I think Kadoka area and Harding County, both out west teams, I think they'll both get a lot of good film on each other, and I think Kadoka might have a chance to pull this one off. Yeah. It's a far shot, but I think they might have a chance.
It is a far shot, but I'm just going to stick with Harding County because higher seed.
Del Rapids St. Mary versus Harriet Selby area. Del Rapids St. Mary walks through these guys. They do not deserve to really be at the 3 seed. I think they've only lost 1 game to the best team in the state and can be down to the 3 seed. I think they take this one by quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think Del Rapids St. Mary runs away with this 3-6 matchup.
Yep, runs away. Not even going to be close here. So, 4 topics left.
Quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
We're going to be 5 on this one. As of right now, who is the best team in the NFL? Larsh, what do you got?
Oh, gosh. It's really hard to tell because both the Patriots and the 49ers obviously undefeated. Two of the best defenses in the league, as the saying goes. Defense wins championships. So I want to see those two play each other.
I do too.
I mean, I don't know it's going to be like 3-0 or something with their defenses. But, I mean, that'd be an amazing game to watch. But I think the 49ers, in my opinion.
I agree too. The Patriots, I mean, obviously they're known for their runs and stuff, but I think that it'd be really hard for them to go get a back-to-back championship. So I think that the Patriots could make a run for it, but I think that the Niners take this thing, and I think they're the best team.
Yeah, both the Patriots and the 49ers are still undefeated. Both have really good defenses, which I love to watch. But I'm going to have to go with the Saints because they were without Drew Brees for about 5 weeks, and they had Teddy Bridgewater step in. And I think their defense really held them down. And Teddy Bridgewater really showed up, and they won 5 games in a row. And Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0 as a backup quarterback, which I think is really impressive. And they're 7-1 right now, and I think they're the best team in the NFL right now when they get Drew Brees coming back.
You don't see that very often as them backup quarterbacks coming to do that, so that's kind of cool to watch.
Yeah.
3 left here for the podcast today.
14
says NCAA, the Pay to Play Act passes this week. What are your thoughts? Is it a good idea, bad idea, or what do you think here, Hunter?
I think it's a good idea because I'm ready for an NCAA college football game again.
That's what I was gonna say.
The last one they made was in 2014, and I've been waiting. It's time for an NCAA football game.
Yeah. And when they made the game, they weren't allowed to put names on there, but now they can do that. So it's going to be kind of fun, and hopefully EA can come out with something kind of cool there.
I was going to say that same thing. I think it's also a good idea for the players.
It is.
Because now they're actually getting something out of playing in college other than just NFL scouting.
And it's going to be it's going to benefit it's going to benefit players to stay in college. For instance, basketball, you don't really want to go to school for a year. You can go for 3 years and make money off of it if you really want to.
Yeah.
So if you're not the best player, but you can make money off of it, there you go. Topic 4, NDSU versus SDSU last Saturday. What are your thoughts on that one?
I wasn't able to make it to the game, so I was kind of bummed about that. But I heard it was a really, really good game, and SDSU kind of choked at the end. And SDSU had a really gutsy call at their own 20-yard line on 4th down, and they ran it in for a touchdown, and that sealed the deal for that game.
The defense has played really well during that game, and that's what makes them teams who they are, is their defense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think the Jacks learned a lot. They're kind of a young team, other than a few positions. Their quarterback probably needs to get fixed now before playoffs, but I think they're going to be all right. I think NDSU played a pretty decent game, really. So I
thought it was a really good game. If SDSU's starting quarterback doesn't get hurt there, do I think they win? I think it's more likely because you got the third-string quarterback who threw a game-losing pick in instance. So, I mean, it was a really good game. We had good seats. Game day was amazing. I mean, so
hopefully we can get that whole video out for you guys. But the last one, number 7, 11B football. This is our bracket. Who wins it? We can kind of go through every game and recap or talk about it at least. Bridgewater Emory Ethan versus number 8 Sioux Valley. Who do you got here, Hunter?
Bridgewater kind of ran away with this game during the season, 41-8. But I think Sioux Valley puts up more of a fight this time. Bridgewater is going to win by 2 or 3 touchdowns, but I see it being a lot closer game than during the season.
I think that Bridgewater also wins, but there is a chance that Sioux Valley gets an upset here because I heard that when Sioux Valley played Bridgewater, 2 kids were out because of unsports-related things, and they had 3 injuries to their team during the game. So that's 5 players. Them 5 players are back from what I've heard, so you never know what could happen in this one.
I think it's going to be a lot closer than it was in the regular season. There is a flying chance Sioux Valley takes this one, but I'm just going to have to go with Bridgewater Emory. I think they're just overall just a slightly better team, and it's going to be close. Touchdown to maybe 10 points or so, but there still is a flying chance Sioux Valley takes it, but I think I got Bridgewater Emory.
The next one is number 4, Mobridge Pollock versus McCook Central. This game's in Mobridge. This is going to be an interesting one tonight.
I think McCook Central Montrose wins this one with their no-huddle offense, and they go for 2 every single time and onside kick it. I think they're just going to overwhelm Mobridge Pollock in this game.
Them up north teams just can't take this, and I think that McCook takes this thing by quite a bit too. Is they send quite a bit of different stuff that most teams don't see. So I think McCook takes this by at least 3 touchdowns.
Yep, I got McCook. They just play a different style of football that I don't think any team can handle, especially not Mobridge Pollock.
Yes.
So McCook.
The next one is number 2 Winner versus number 7 St. Thomas More. I think this game was a little weird in the regular season, so you never know what's going to happen in this one.
Yeah, I think Winter just suffocates St. Thomas More like they did in the regular season. They just hit him in the mouth, and St. Thomas More never recovered. And I think that's, again, what's going to happen in the playoffs.
I agree. I think Winner probably takes this one by quite a bit. But you never know. Hopefully for our sake, St. Thomas More takes this. But that'd be nice. But
yeah, I think Winter's going to take this one, but it's going to be closer than it was in the regular season, just like the Bridgewater Emory Sioux Valley game. They're going to know what they come out, and they're going to have it better defended. So it's going to be closer, but I think Winter's going to take it.
Agreed. Number 3 Webster versus number 6 Mount Vernon Plankington. This game's in Webster. We've, as a team, kind of prepared for this game, and this is what we're waiting for. And this is kind of playoff football. You lose 2 games to the best 2 teams in the state, and you go in and I think it's going to be interesting to see what these guys bring to the table, and with what we bring to the table is different than what they do. And they don't see what we see, but I mean, it's vice versa. There's a lot of comparing and contrasting parts to this whole game. What are your thoughts on this one, Hunter?
I think we come out on top on this one, but I think it's going to be a really close game. But I think we win by a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns at the end of the game.
Yeah. I think just the style of offense we play, come out hard, arguably best conditioned team in the state with a second half team, So I got us winning this one, touchdown or 2.
Agreed. I would just like to note that if you look back in Webster's whole season, they get around 30 points a game. They average almost 30 points a game. So I think it's going to be really hard for them to get more than 30 points against us. And as we said, we've had this conversation a little bit as a team, but I think it's going to be really difficult for Webster to score on our defense because we're just so hard-nosed and we're going to bring the hits. And if we bring the hits and they're cold, it's supposed to be pretty cold tonight, so I think it's going to be fun to bring the hits to them guys.
It'll be a fun game.
It will.
I think so. So that wraps up the podcast with that. Thank you, Hunter, for coming along.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come and do the podcast with you guys. It's really fun.
Yeah. So from Cole Lars, Charlie Perrine, and special guest Hunter Pranger, we'll see you all in the next episode next week.